Hey there, welcome to Abundant Source Raw. I have something that I wanted to talk about that just kind of smacked me in the face, and it was like this light bulb went off, and yeah, just felt like I had to make a video really quickly. But first I wanted to show you what I'm eating here. I've been on like this crazy fat craze lately. I had some olives like last week, and since that day I've just been eating way more like salads and stuff like this and adding a bunch of fatty stuff, and I know it's not great for me. I just yeah, I've been craving it so bad for the last like week. It's not been good, but just I wanted to show you that because, you know, I don't want you guys to think that I'm like some 100% like totally pure fruitarian that only eats sweet juicy fruits. I definitely give in to cravings every once in a while, and here lately it's been a lot. But yeah, this is just spiralized cucumber with some heirloom tomatoes, olives, and avocado, and some other spices. But I was cutting this up just a few minutes ago, and cutting up the avocado, and you know, it just kind of, something hit me. And I made a post about this yesterday on Facebook, and I said, you know, right now, you know, all the viewers watching right now, look around you and notice everything around you that is square or rectangle. Notice everything that is boxed up. Notice the walls and the TV and your screen and, you know, your pictures and your tile and all that. Notice everything around you that is square. And then look into nature and notice everything in nature that is square. There is nothing square in nature. We've basically been put into, I mean, society has basically put us into a box with a million more boxes, and it's all so limiting. It's like a very limiting shape. We've been so defined with labels and boxes and just all these limiting things, and everywhere we look is man-made squares. And if you look into nature, everything is just free-flowing. Everything is just unlimited potential and totally unlimited. And so I made a post about that yesterday, but I was cutting up my avocado, and you know, I've got them in these little squares. And it just, as I was cutting it, because this avocado wasn't totally ripe, it was, you know, just a little squishy, but not totally ripe. And I made this yesterday, and that's why I was craving it so bad today. And so this avocado was more firm because it wasn't as ripe. And so I was cutting it, and then I was, you know, taking my fork to scoop out the little squares that I had cut, and they were just coming out really easy, really solid, nice-looking squares. And I thought, well, this is coming out, you know, a lot more neat-looking than yesterday. That's because I had a riper avocado yesterday, and when I was scooping it out, you know, it was all kind of squishing and not coming out as pretty. And I was like, oh my goodness, you know, they're coming out as nice firm looking squares because it's basically unripe. And you know, I just thought to myself, what the heck am I doing to my food? Why am I cutting it up like this into little neat squares? It's like it's crazy, because in nature, you know, we just peel the avocado and we would just eat it. No structure, no limiting forms like that, and it would just be totally free flowing, and it would be more squishy and stuff like that. So I just, it just, I don't know, it was something I felt like I had to share, that we've basically been trained by our society to just totally think in like boxes and labels and just these limiting forms, when if you just go back into nature, you know, get back to the jungle, and you know, where everything is just open and everything is just free flowing, and you know, you just eat the fruit with your hands. There's no structure to how you do it. You just rip it open however you want. It's never gonna come out the same way. It's gonna be different every time you eat that fruit if you eat it the way nature designed it. It's totally unlimited, and just there's no limiting structure to how nature has things set up. And I just realized in the moment that I was cutting my avocado just how programmed I am, and how programmed we all are to just think, nice, neat little squares. And I just saw the limitations of my mindset when I was cutting my avocado, uh, because it was like, man, if I was in nature, first of all, I probably wouldn't have opened this if it wasn't completely ripe, and tried to cut it up like this. I would have just, dug right into it, just taken a bite out of it. Um, and I was just like, man, it's crazy what our environment has done to us. And just to be able to notice all these programs and tendencies that we have, it's so crazy when you have a little revelation like that and you're just like, wait, what am I doing? Why am I cutting this up like this? Why am I doing this in such a limited sort of fashion when, it's way more natural and abundant to just grab the fruit and eat it however my being wants to eat it. It's so hard to deprogram yourself when you're still in the environment that is programming everything, basically. We're still living in this society that does not promote, natural human function or anything really very natural. And that's why pretty much every, fruitarian who is trying to get to optimal health is trying to get back to the tropics and trying to get back to nature and trying to get back to the good ripe fruit, and eat it the way we're supposed to. And everybody looks at us like we're freaks, but we're the ones being true humans. And actually, it's pretty freaky when you look around society and notice everything that the limited human mind has tried to do to everything. And just the other day, because I was looking around in my house, noticing everything that was square, and I was like, oh my goodness. Pretty much everything I was looking at is a square box of some sort. And it was just like, wow. It was a pretty big eye-opener. So, but yeah, I just wanted to say it's very tough to do the right thing when you're in an environment that doesn't promote it. And I'm trying to hopefully here in the next couple of months get to Costa Rica and live out there for a little while and just get back to that freedom, because it's tough to give this stuff up when you go into the supermarket and it's right there in your face and it's all nicely displayed to you, and we also don't have great quality fruit. There's just not enough abundance in the supermarkets, at least where I'm at, for me to always just want the fruit. If I can it's springtime now, and there's some pretty good fruit. I'm getting some nice seeded watermelon, and there's some good organic mangoes, and organic peaches are just starting to come in, which is great. And I'm starting to finally feel like I can start eating pretty much all sweet, juicy fruit again without having to, rely on stuff like this. But it's still really hard. It's hard to find great ripe fruit in the stores, and it's hard not to give in to other foods when they're just so easily accessible. And I just know how much of a struggle it is. And it's like, I mean, cooked food, and even uncooked food like this is a true massive addiction, one of the hardest addictions on the planet to overcome. And so when you go into a store that has all this cooked food sitting on the shelves right in front of your face, then it's like, an alcoholic going into a liquor store and just trying to say, I'm not going to buy any of it. It's going to be nearly impossible if they're right there exposed to it. And so what I'm trying to get to here is our environment really shapes our tendencies and our behaviors and what we want. And we don't get enough sunlight, and we don't get the proper kind of sunlight here in the US and Canada and the UK, for the most part. All these different places where we're just not in a tropical environment, where we don't have the right sunlight, we don't have enough sunlight, we don't have good oxygen. We've got chemtrails, which are refracting the sunlight and also poisoning us, our lungs, and so we don't have clean oxygen. It's hard to find clean water, and so it's very easy to be disconnected when you're in this environment that promotes disconnection. And it's very easy to succumb to stuff like, I know this isn't the best food for me. I know that it's not going to make me feel my best. But when you're surrounded by stuff like this, I know how tough it gets. And I'd say there's probably only a very small percentage of people, probably like 3 to 5% of the population, that actually has the raw willpower to be able to just say no to everything. It's nearly impossible. We're creatures of habit, and we've all been basically eating cooked food our whole life, and we haven't really known much else until probably just recently. And so you really got to try and get to an environment where, it's easy to be fruitarian and it's easy to be on the raw foods, and that's going to be in the tropics. Like when I went to Puerto Rico, it was all fruit, and I loved it. I didn't think about eating anything else because the fruit was so good and so abundant, and I was like picking wild fruit everywhere, and I had the sun, and I was on the beach, and it was just like cooked food didn't even enter my mind because I just felt so abundant, and I had so much energy from the sun, and I had cleaner oxygen, and there was just more trees and coconut trees, and it was just so inspiring that it was easy to be away from the cooked food. Our environment is what shapes our thoughts and literally shapes our genes and activates and deactivates certain genes, whether it's our internal environment or external environment. The internal environment is, of course, incredibly important, and we want to put the best fuel in our body and create the best internal environment. But external environment is almost equally as important, if not more, because right now we're living in an external environment where we are just bombarded with crappy food and crappy information and, just a bunch of political nonsense and total distractions for us to get disconnected by. So I just want to share this with you guys, show you guys just, how crazy and how deep our psychology, has become, and how sucked in we've gotten to our society, and how it's shaped us, and how it's even shaped our genes, and how we react and things like that, and how it influences us. And also that, getting to the tropics and getting to where humans are supposed to be is really going to activate certain genes that have never even been activated in you before. You literally have genes that are not activated because they will only be activated in your proper environment in the tropics with the right sunlight and the right oxygen and all that. And so if you're serious about having the greatest, most optimal health possible, then you have to be in the tropics. You can't be your best unless you are in the tropics. You can be great and you can be in this environment and maybe never get sick again and thrive for the most part, but you will never reach your peak point unless you are in your natural environment in the tropics. And it's going to do wonders for your mindset as well. I mean, just like I said, nature is unlimited. Look how nature just grows and free flows and has no limited shapes or anything like that are defining it. And when you're in that environment, when you're away from all these boxes and squares and shapes and just all these different influences on our psyche, then I mean your mindset just shoots up so high, and you can just definitely vibrate at a much higher level when you're in your proper environment, eating your natural food, and you never really feel like you're missing anything. You don't feel like you're missing out and you need to eat a bunch of addicting fats and cooked foods and things like that, because you just got everything you need, and all the fruit tastes so great and it's ripe and abundant, and you're just in nature getting everything you need. So just wanted to share that with you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos on fruitarianism, spirituality, and natural living, and I'll talk with you guys in the next video.